The second I walked into that hall with a woman like Sarah on my arm, my wife stopped cold. Amanda's fake grin faded fast, lips parting just a little as her eyes darted from me to the woman beside me. It was the first time in half a decade that Amanda, my wife, my so-called partner, had nothing to say. And God, that silence felt better than any apology ever could. Her hand, which had been resting on the arm of that pretty boy gym rat in the blue blazer, Travis, her personal trainer, jerked back like she'd been burned. Clumsy, obvious, full of guilt. I nearly laughed out loud. I leaned toward Sarah, tall and poised like she belonged in a magazine, and murmured loud enough for Amanda to hear, "That's Amanda." She figured I'd never find out. Amanda stepped toward us, heels tapping like she was walking across eggshells. "Rick, what is this?" she whispered, trying to sound calm but cracking at the edges. I did not reply. Not right away. I let the silence sit between us like a brick wall. Amanda was used to being the one in charge of every room, every conversation. But not tonight. Not anymore. 2 weeks earlier, I was still that fool of a husband, making her breakfast, texting her little heart emojis from work like some lovesick schoolboy. She looked me in the eye and lied every damn day. The night I found out? Nothing suspicious. I came home early after a late meeting, picked up her favorite takeout, and thought maybe we'd catch a movie, unwind together. Instead, I walked into a house that smelled like cologne I didn't recognize. Bedroom light on. Bed neatly made, too neatly. Something felt off. Her phone was charging on the nightstand. No passcode. Just lit up with a message, "Can't wait to taste you again tonight, babe. T." I opened it. Dozens of messages. Photos. Words I never thought I'd hear her say, especially not to someone else. And it was Travis. The same trainer I paid for. The same one she claimed was just helping her get back into shape. He was getting plenty of reps in, just not in the gym. I sat in the dark, TV on mute, waiting. When she came in around 1:40 in the morning, walking on her toes, giggling to herself, I watched her toss her purse on the counter and whisper, "Idiot," under her breath. She didn't know I was standing there until I moved. "Rick." I said nothing, just looked at her, then walked past her to her bedroom. That night, I called Sarah. An old friend. Former classmate, now a business owner and model. She owed me a favor. When I told her my plan, she said, "You want to flip the script? I'm in." And now, here we were. At the same gala Amanda begged me to attend 2 months ago. Only she never expected I would actually show, and definitely not with a woman who made her look invisible. As we walked past her, and that sweaty loser she was clinging to, I turned to him with a smile. "Travis, right? Didn't know your fitness plan included breaking up marriages." He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Amanda went pale, then red. Sarah leaned in and whispered, "Let's not waste time on yesterday's mistakes." Amanda tried to follow us, heels clicking too fast across the marble like she was trying to chase her dignity. Rick, wait." I kept walking. I led Sarah past the donors, the press, the laughter, out to the cold air on the balcony where things felt real. Amanda finally caught up, grabbing my arm like she still had a right to touch me. "What the hell is this?" she snapped. "Sarah? She's an old friend," I said calmly. "She's helping me see things I should have seen a long time ago." "You don't get to do this to me," Amanda hissed. I let out a low laugh. "I don't? You mean like how you slept with your trainer behind my back and sent him pictures of my shirts?" Her face fell for a split second before she turned defensive. "You've been distant for months. And you solved that by playing house with a guy whose biggest skill is lifting weights?" She folded her arms. "It didn't mean anything, right? That's why you had hotel bookings every Friday and called me boring while he made you feel like someone's secret." For the first time, she was cornered. And she did what manipulators always do when caught. She got angry. "You're pathetic," she spat. "Dragging some plastic doll here to prove a point." I grinned. "Better than sneaking around behind your husband's back to feel wanted." She was quiet for a second. Her mask had slipped completely. I stared at her, really stared. All I saw now was someone who had spent years perfecting a lie. "I want a divorce," I said flatly. She blinked. "You're overreacting." "No," I said. "I'm finally reacting." She sneered. "Nobody will want you after this little show." "You're wrong," I told her. "I already want me. And that's more than I can say for these last 5 years with you." I left her standing there with her expensive heels, ruined reputation, and a man who suddenly looked like he wanted to disappear. Back inside, Sarah gave my hand a squeeze. "You okay?" "No. But I will be." We left together. Amanda was still in the room, probably scrambling to keep her mask on for the crowd. I did not look back. The drive was quiet, but it was the kind of quiet that heals. I dropped Sarah off and thanked her. She just smiled, touched my shoulder, and walked into the night. When I got home, the house felt cold and unfamiliar. Amanda wasn't there yet. Maybe she was crying to her side piece or calling friends to twist the story. I sat in the kitchen and stared at a picture on the fridge. Tahoe. Our last anniversary. She was smiling in it. I used to love that smile. Now I just saw a stranger. She came home hours later, slammed the door, and barked. You humiliated me. No, I said. I set the record straight. She shook with rage. You're throwing away everything. You already did, I said. I'm just cleaning up the mess. She looked at me, and for the first time since all this started, her anger cracked and panic slipped through Dot. You're not actually doing this, Rick. You don't throw away 5 years because of one screw-up. It wasn't one screw-up, I said, calm but firm. It was a choice you made over and over. You just figured I was too stupid to notice. She tried to reach for my arm, like she used to when we'd argue and she'd want me to cave. I stepped back, and her face tightened up. You've always been too emotional, she said. You twist things up in your head. That's what this is. You just need to cool down. I shook my head. You've been lying to my face for over a year. You think I need time? What I needed was honesty. You were feeding me fairy tales while letting some other man unzip your dress. She opened her mouth, probably searching for something slick to say. Nothing came out. Then her lips curled, and there it was, her backup weapon. Dot. You know what? Fine. You want a divorce? Great. Maybe I'll finally get a man who doesn't need constant babysitting. I nodded once. Perfect. And maybe I'll get a woman who doesn't treat marriage like a side hustle. She rolled her eyes and stormed off toward the bedroom. I followed. I packed your stuff, I said, stopping in the hallway. She spun around. You what? Packed it up. Guest room. Movers are scheduled for tomorrow morning. Her eyes blinked fast. You can't do that. I just did. This house is half mine. For now, I said, folding my arms. But if you think you're walking out of this with what you think you're owed, you're in for a surprise. Her voice dropped. You wouldn't. I already hired a lawyer. Go ahead. Call Travis. Maybe the two of you can split a mattress in his rental apartment when he loses his job for sleeping with a married client. Her jaw locked in place. You're cruel. No, I said, stepping closer. You just finally hit someone who wasn't going to roll over and let you keep playing heartless. She turned and stormed into the guest room, slamming the door so hard a picture frame rattled on the wall. That night, I slept in my bed. Alone. And I slept like a rock. No checking my phone. No wondering where she was. No hoping for a text. I just didn't care anymore. Morning came with gray skies, and the house matched the weather. I got up early, made coffee, sat in the kitchen, and listened to the hum of the fridge. Quiet, but not tense like before. It was still. It was mine again. At exactly 9:03, the moving truck pulled up. Amanda didn't even show her face until they were halfway done. Probably too embarrassed. Or maybe she was hoping I'd change my mind. When I walked into the guest room, her stuff was already boxed: clothes, shoes, makeup, even that framed photo from Hawaii she claimed was her favorite. I'd packed it like I was bagging up debris after a house fire. Calm. Focused. Burned out but standing tall. She finally came downstairs with sunglasses on inside, like that was gonna hide the wreck she'd become. What the hell do you think you're doing? She snapped. Told you last night, movers. This morning, I said without looking up. You really think you can just erase me from this house like I never mattered? I met her eyes. Amanda, you didn't turn into a memory. You became a warning. She flinched but tried to cover it. Maybe this is for the best, she said after a pause. Maybe we both need space. I nodded. We did. I just didn't know it until I saw you smiling at another man like he meant more than everything we built. She smiled back, but not kindly. You weren't a rock, Rick. You were just routine. And right there, it clicked. She was not here to fix anything. She was here to win. Still chasing the high of being right, of being the one who walked away taller. Even now, in the ashes of what we were. By 10:30, her stuff was in the truck. She left without another word, stepping into the back of some black SUV like a ghost sliding into the fog. I stood in the doorway, hands in my pockets, not waving, not watching her leave. Just breathing. For the first time in a long time, it felt like air was reaching my lungs. But that didn't mean the pain packed up with her. The days after were rough. Paperwork, meetings with lawyers, going through emails that made my fingers numb from rage. The nights were the hardest. It was so quiet I could hear my own thoughts echo. I kept picking up my phone, half out of habit, half out of muscle memory. No, I miss you. No, I'm sorry. Just silence. By the fifth night, I was scrolling through old photos. Honeymoon in Cancun. Christmas by the fire. That one dumb picture in matching hoodies I used to love. Now I just saw two people faking forever. And something in me shifted. This wasn't just about cheating. It was about how far I let myself drift away trying to keep her happy. I twisted myself into a version I thought she wanted. I accepted cold shoulders, sarcastic digs, long silences. I called it love. I called it compromise. It was self-erasure. That night, I opened my laptop and typed. I wrote down everything. Every lie, every ignored red flag. Every time I convinced myself I was the problem. It was not for court. Not for revenge. It was for me. At the bottom, I wrote, next time, choose peace over pretty. And I meant it. 2 weeks passed. Her scent was gone from the bed. Her clothes were gone from the closet. I started sleeping in the middle, not on the edge. Reclaiming my space, 1 inch at a time. Then, one Thursday afternoon, I got the message. We need to talk. In person. Amanda. I stared at it. I knew what this was. The crash. The wake-up. The realization that the grass on the other side was full of weeds. I did not answer. She called the next day. I let it ring. That evening, she showed up. Same coat she wore on our 3rd anniversary. Same look like she still belonged inside. I opened the door and just stared. Hi, she said with a shaky smile. Can I come in? No. She blinked. Rick, please. 10 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I sighed and stepped outside, shutting the door behind me. We stood on the porch like two people who once thought forever was possible. She looked tired. Maybe thinner. Or maybe the guilt had finally started eating her from the inside out. I made a mistake, she said. A real one. I believe you, I said. You made several, actually. Travis, it wasn't what I thought it was, she said, looking down. He made me feel something. I just didn't think you cared anymore. I nodded. I read the texts. I know exactly what you were chasing. She bit her lip. When I saw you with that woman, I thought maybe you had already moved on. Evelyn? Huh? You knew what that would look like. Amanda stared me down like she still had some sort of hold over me. I met her eyes, dead steady. You kept your secret for a year. I had mine for a single night. Don't pretend we're even. She dropped her gaze, then slowly looked back up. I miss you. No, Amanda, I said. You miss what I gave you. You miss the version of me that let you walk all over him and called it love. She winced. Good. I wanted that line to hit. I needed it to land. You can hate me if it helps, she whispered. I don't hate you, I said. I feel sorry for you. That broke her. Her jaw twitched, her eyes watered, and for a second, I saw the wall she always hid behind start to crack. Do you still love me at all? I took a breath. I loved the person I thought you were. That woman? I'd have taken a bullet for her. But she never existed. Her knees buckled slightly, like her whole world had just tilted. But I wasn't the one holding her up anymore. That job ended when she threw it all away. Then she pulled out a letter from her coat pocket, held it out to me. I wrote this. You don't have to read it. It's just everything. The truth. What I felt. What I lied about. I took the envelope, said nothing. Slid it into my jacket. I opened the front door, stepped inside, and shut it behind me without a word. No goodbye. No look back. Just done. Later that night, I took the letter out under the kitchen light. I held it in my hands for a minute, thinking maybe it had something I missed. Maybe it would fix something. Maybe it would answer the why. I never opened it. Instead, I lit a match, dropped the envelope in the sink, and watched it turn to ash. No closure. No last words. Just silence. Fire. The only thing Amanda ever gave me was hurt. So I gave it back and let it burn. A month later, I stood in front of my bathroom mirror and hardly recognized the man staring back. The bags under my eyes had faded. My back wasn't so tense. I didn't jump every time my phone buzzed. I wasn't flinching in my own home anymore. The divorce papers came in on a Wednesday. Simple envelope. Court seal. Just a name and a date. 5 years of love, or something like it, collapsed into 5 sheets of paper and a signature from a stranger in a robe. I sat at the table, flattened the envelope, and whispered, done. That weekend, my old buddy Ethan called. The same guy who tried to warn me months ago. Rick, he had said back then, she doesn't look at you the way you look at her. I told him to shut up. Said he was wrong. Turns out, he was the only one who had it right. We met up for a drink at some hole-in-the-wall place we used to hit in college. I told him everything. No edits, no filters, no fake strength. Just the truth. He sat back, listened. After I was done, he raised his beer and said, "You know, I watched you die a little every month. Now? You're breathing. I can see it." That hit hard. Not 'cause it was dramatic. Because it was honest. There's a kind of slow dying people don't talk about. The kind where your soul leaks out a little every day while you pretend everything's fine. I'd lived in that silence for too damn long. The next morning, I got a text from an unknown number. It was a photo. Amanda. On a yacht. Sitting on Trent's lap. She was laughing, drink in hand. He looked half drunk, smirking like a clown. Under the picture, thought you'd want to see who she chose. No name. No follow-up. Just that. I stared at it for maybe 20 seconds. Not angry. Not hurt. Just numb. Then I deleted it. Because it didn't matter. She picked him. I picked me. Over the next few weeks, I cleaned house physically and mentally. Got rid of every trace of her. Photos, keepsakes, candles, even that ridiculous hoodie she always stole. I repainted the walls. Bought new sheets. Changed the locks. Even my music sounded different. No more playlists full of love songs. Just instrumentals. Jazz. Metal. Whatever suited me that day. One afternoon, I passed a couple in a coffee shop. Sitting side by side, laughing, holding hands like nothing else in the world mattered. For a second, yeah, it stung. But then I reminded myself I'd loved like that once. Fully. Honestly, that wasn't my mistake. That was hers. What I gave was real. What she did with it was on her. A few nights later, I had dinner with Evelyn. No romance. Just two people who'd been through hell and come out cleaner. She raised her glass and smiled. You survived. I nodded. Better than most. She tried to break you, Evelyn said. I smiled. She set me free instead. Evelyn raised an eyebrow. You think she regrets it? I shrugged. Maybe. Maybe not. Either way, not my problem anymore. And I meant every word. Love is not supposed to hurt. Trust should not be a weapon. And when someone treats your heart like it's disposable, they never deserved it in the first place. Amanda thought she shattered me. What she did was return me to myself. Months passed. Spring crept in like a soft apology from the world. I accepted it. The trees outside started to bloom again. The mornings didn't ache. I stopped waking up expecting ghosts. Then one evening, after the gym, I saw her. Amanda. Just standing there, outside my building like she still had some right to take up space in my life. She looked plain. Hoodie. Jeans. No makeup. No act. Hi, she said quietly. I did not respond. I just kept walking until I was a few steps from her. I know I shouldn't be here, she added, hands in her pockets like she was holding herself together. I've just been thinking. I needed to see you. I sighed. Why now? She shifted her weight. Because it didn't end right. I nearly laughed. It ended exactly how it was supposed to. No, Rick, you don't understand, she said quickly. He wasn't who I thought he was. And you were. There it was. The twist. The irony. The full circle. She looked at me with those tired, empty eyes and whispered the truth I knew was coming. He cheated on me. I stood still. I did not gloat. I did not smirk. I just looked her dead in the eye and said, So? So now you understand? She asked. I shook my head and stepped a little closer. No, I said flatly. You finally understand what it feels like to be you. But you never understood me. You still don't? Her eyes blinked fast like tears were trying to form. But that didn't move me. That well ran dry a long time ago. I'm not here to ask for a second chance, she said, almost whispering. Good. I just needed to tell you I'm sorry. I nodded. Then say it. I'm sorry, Rick. I lied. I disrespected you. I wrecked something good. I know I can't take it back. But I need you to know it wasn't because you weren't enough. It was because I wasn't. I was not expecting that. Did it fix anything? No. But it landed. I gave it a second, then said, Thanks for saying that. We stood there for a moment. Not a couple. Just two people standing in the leftover silence of something that used to be love. She looked at the ground. Are you seeing anyone? I did not answer right away. Truth was, no, I wasn't. Not really. But I was seeing peace. And that mattered more than any warm body in my bed. I'm seeing calm, I said. And I'm not trading that for chaos ever again. She gave a soft, sad smile. You really did change. No, I said. I just stopped making myself small to fit into your world. She nodded slowly, then turned and walked away. No hugs. No goodbye. No one last look. Just distance. I watched her until she turned the corner, and in that moment, it hit me, closure does not always show up wrapped in a bow. Sometimes, it is simply watching the same storm that once wrecked you walk away with nothing left to destroy. That night, I opened my window and let the spring breeze fill the house. I put on a playlist I made just for myself. No memories, no heartbreak, just songs that felt like breathing. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I was not just surviving. I was living. Weeks turned into months. And that kind of peace I once thought was impossible, it started to feel like home. I did not check the door waiting for her shadow. I did not scroll through her socials. I did not flinch when I heard her name. The ghosts got quieter. I traveled a bit, nothing fancy. Small towns I used to say I'd see one day. Turns out, one day shows up when you stop waiting for someone else to come with you. I sat by oceans, watched sunsets alone, and for the first time, I didn't feel lonely doing it. I got used to my own company, learned to enjoy the quiet without needing to fill it. That was new. That was powerful. People asked about her sometimes. Old friends. Relatives I barely talked to. What happened? I gave them the short version. We grew apart. Let them fill in the blanks. Not because I was protecting her, but because I didn't need to bleed in front of strangers to prove I'd been cut. Then one night, a text popped up from a number I didn't recognize. It was from someone named Clara, an old friend of hers, I guess. She wrote, I know this is random, but I just want to say, I saw how Amanda treated you. I don't know how you stayed as long as you did. You deserved more. Still do. I stared at it for a long time. Not because I needed the praise, but because it reminded me other people saw it too. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't weak. I was loyal. And that loyalty got dragged through the mud. I replied with two simple words. Thank you. See, closure doesn't always come with dramatic speeches or a tearful apology. Sometimes it is quiet. Sometimes it is found in deleting photos without shaking. In walking past a happy couple and feeling hope instead of bitterness. In no longer needing someone to hear your side of the story. Healing is slow, quiet, personal. The final piece clicked into place one warm evening. I was walking past the park, and there was a wedding happening, twinkly lights, soft music, laughter echoing through the trees. I stopped for a moment, watching the bride twirl under the lights, her dress catching the breeze. For a split second, I felt a twist in my chest. Not pain, not jealousy. Just memory. But then, I smiled. Because I did not see Amanda in that dress. I saw a possibility. I saw that one day, love would come again. And this time, I would meet it whole. Not looking for someone to complete me, just someone to walk beside me, real and equal. So if you were reading this, and you were where I was, broken, betrayed, questioning your worth, listen closely. You are not too much. You are not foolish for loving deep. And you sure as hell do not owe your silence to anyone who mistook your heart for a doormat. The right person will never make you feel like a burden. The wrong one will always make you feel like you are not enough. Learn the difference. And when you do, walk away with your dignity intact. Because losing someone who lied to you, that is not a loss. That is freedom. I did not just survive her. I outgrew her. And that right there, that is the best kind of revenge.